give you a bit of a background and introduction to Panorama Synergy, and then I'll turn over to Peter Lewis, who's going to talk you through in a little bit more detail around some of the what we see some real good strategic high growth opportunities that the team have been working on putting together over the last 6 months. Fundamentally, we've got a purpose-driven sort of a business, improve 1 billion lives. We're unique in that we commercialise a wide array of technologies across medtech, defence, mining, infrastructure, and our opportunity is to pick up a lot of revenue through services. And what you're going to hear about today is where we think there's great opportunities to go and invest, build, and buy our own product portfolio, particularly in around the medtech sectors. Peter's going to come back and talk a bit about where we've been successful in the past, bringing a lot of other companies' products to market. Some of these are public companies: Nanosonics, Cochlear, ResMed, Universal Biosensors, LBT Innovations, all companies that have got market capitalisations that suggest that we've created enormous value for other clients. And what I want you to take away from today is that we made a transformational acquisition last year called Hydrix Proprietary Limited, private company. Been in business for 10 to 15 years, generated about $100 million worth of fees over that time, creating brand new products for other clients and then handing all the IP back. What we've done and last year is we changed the board and the management. We completed that process in June last year. We then made this transformational acquisition of Hydrix in November of last year. Panorama is a business that's been around and been public for a long period of time, never generated $1 revenue or brought any products to market. This is the first time this company as a public company has got real revenues, real people, delivering real bottom line results for other clients. And in the future, based on our strategic direction that we're taking, we've got a very good growth platform to develop a much better portfolio of products, services, which ultimately is going to translate into profitable business and drive the market capitalisation of the company. One of the important things is here, Hydrix was a services business historically, leaving a lot of value on the table, by, as I said, giving products back to the clients. Peter's going to talk through one of the key areas in a moment around the medtech and what the opportunity is. The reason it's really important is we don't want you to look at the business and say we're going to value it on a services only play. What we're, with the acquisition, investment and the build-buy strategy ourselves, we're going to create multiple revenue streams, whether it's through products, licensing, royalties, and the other opportunities that we've got is to actually take an equity position in some of our clients. That's where we're going to get a whole host of revenue growth and profitability on that basis. Since we've bought the business, key things that we've changed is implementing financial controls and reporting systems. 2, we've changed the customer-facing processes to improve the customer engagement. And 3, Peter and his team have significantly grown the revenue pipeline, which is a whole lot larger today than it was when we first took over the business. So based on the outlook demand that we've got today, we expect that we've got to probably hire somewhere in the vicinity of 30+% more billable engineering capability in the business to support that outlook demand. Some of that demand, or a lot of that demand, is coming from large government spending programs in defence and cybersecurity, medical technologies. There's also strong growth globally around the push to personalised medicine. And the third aspect is the mining boom is starting to crank back up again, and a lot of the mining companies are saying we've got to use technology to improve production efficiencies and safety, and our team have got lots of experience and skill set in helping companies bring those sorts of outcomes to the fore. We think as a result and a conclusion of all that is that we see the Hydrix operating business turning to profitability in fiscal 19 as a result of the growth in revenues, which will improve operating margins and also improve the bottom line result as we develop a better productivity out of our engineering team. And ultimately we're well positioned, as Peter will take you through, to develop our own IP product portfolio.
I might just jump forward a slide or two just to really sort of focus on the medtech area. And I want to focus on medtech, talk about it. It's one of our prominent areas inside Hydrix. Now, over the last 10 to 15 years, Hydrix has produced about 200 odd products for clients right around the world, from ResMed to Siemens to everybody else. If I look at a couple of the companies here on the screen, ResMed, for example, we helped them with some of their core manufacturing expertise in the past, fixing up some of their manufacturing systems that were now obsolescent. Cochlear, we've done a number of things for Cochlear. We've done a wireless connected device so that people can actually adjust the hearing on their iPhone. We've also done a device for people who are very, very deaf, for example, have big problems with balance. They fall over. So a device for Cochlear that's all about balance and helping deaf people actually be able to walk rather than sort of typically fall over. Gavin mentioned nanosonics. Nanosonics, we did some of the core research, applied research some years back around their actual sterilisation module, how to actually sterilise instruments. Companies such as MicroX, you probably know an Adelaide-based company. That company we worked with from day dot. The CEO at the time, the owner at the time, came through with a patent, effectively a patent, and said, I have this patent for X-rays. I want to build a portable X-ray machine that's different from everybody else. So Hydrix worked with them, with that team, to design the system, to help with licensing, to help with regulatory demands, presentations to investors, presentations to potential distributors and so on. So a very broad range of know-how. And fundamentally that know-how from working from a patent, regulatory, marketing, the contacts we have in market around the world, we see as a great entree for the build, buy and invest strategy we want to go forward. As Gavin said, the business in the past has been around doing design for companies, giving back that IP, adjusting the business model now to look at our own products and even potentially acquire some in, to be able to actually take equity positions in some of those medical companies globally is particularly compelling. We're really focused around cardiac. Now cardiac's the number one killer in the world by any measure, and Hydrix has a increasingly impressive profile in the cardiac space. They've done cardiac device control for people such as Bivacor. You may have read about them in the Financial Review in May. $4 million from one venture, another 6 on the table. People such as Corewave in France, another 4 or 5 million they've raised. In fact, so much experience in the cardiac space, we're contemplating looking at actually doing our first product being a sort of a cardiac driver platform. Many of the cardiac companies have sort of a similar need in that sort of platform, so whether we can have that as a basic sort of sell and then obviously the customisation and even get equity, so that's certainly a big potential for us. Other areas we're looking at, neurostimulation, so neurological disorders, vision as we've mentioned, we work with the Bivacor and hearing, not Bivacor, with the Bioinks Institute, hearing as well too, so a broad range of expertise. We have the contacts in market, we have the know-how right across that entire value chain so we can actually build our own products, invest in our own products and get equity as well too. We help many startups as well along that path, so that commercialisation process, how to structure your business, how to raise capital, who the investors are, we can sort of assist them with as well too. So it's really an exciting time in the medical space. A lot of the growth is coming from international. We now have, at a recent conference, our head of medical technology was actually pursued around the floor, he tells me, by cardiac companies who wanted to deal with Hydrix. So we've moved beyond being a small Australian company to being a major player in that particular space, winning projects overseas in France as well too. So there's a lot of money going into cardiac. There's some mega trends you've probably read about in cardiac and portable devices generally. Massive amount of money going into healthcare globally, particularly in Western economies. 25% of US GDP is going to healthcare. They want to reduce that. So there's a policy push worldwide to actually push medicine out of the hospital into the home, into the community, wearable devices, portable devices. That's where we're positioned beautifully, and that's where we have a track record of growth and helping companies in Australia and internationally, and we're assiduously executing it. So that's the sort of the major areas around the medtech. We're working in other areas also. Hydrix, I mentioned, is a private company, has been around for about 15 years. So a strong profile in the consumer and industrial, so agriculture and mining. As Gavin said, the miners are now resurging, and our outlook demand says that we need to have skills in that space, so we're certainly exploring that right now and starting to build profile and getting inquiries. Also in the critical systems, which is defence, infrastructure, transportation and so on. The government in Australia is spending $250 billion over the next 10 years to remobilise the Australian Defence Forces. A lot of that's technology based. Government policy dictates that it has to be done with Australian companies, Australian-owned companies, Australian employees, and we've got strong market credibility in that space as well too, and we're hiring capability there with a number of projects that we're negotiating. We're also exploring the potential, as well as the own product, is manufacturing, so small-scale manufacturing, that is sort of high capex, low volume production in Australia for both our own products as well as some of our clients' products as well too. And a couple of active conversations, whether that's a buy or a build, we're exploring that right now. So a number of areas there. So in the medical space, Hydrix is probably is the top player in Australia and is increasingly well known in its chosen markets internationally, and we're executing fast on that. I think that's fundamentally it from my perspective, Gavin. So I might pass back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. So just in concluding, the opportunity here today is this very strong underlying organic growth in the services business. As I said, we need to hire somewhere in the vicinity of north of 30% more billing engineering resources to support that outlook demand. The second thing is we've got a platform here that is unique in the listed Australian marketscape. There's the opportunity to go out and capitalise on all of that intellectual know-how on design, engineering, getting through regulatory approval and ultimately commercialising new technologies. We will look to invest, acquire and build our own product portfolio. It's led by a board and a management team that knows how to do turnarounds, knows how to do M&A, knows how to build a commercially focused business. This Panorama has had its opportunity significantly increased with the change in the leadership, with the transformational acquisition of Hydrix. It is no longer a research-centric company, which it had been historically. Today it is a very commercially focused business. I am very, very focused around getting this business to profitability sooner rather than later, and that is, as I said earlier, our expectations based on the outlook demand suggest that within fiscal 19, the underlying operating business of Hydrix will be profitable.